a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. The Matrix. The Matrix is a 1999 science fiction action film written and directed by the Wachowskis and starring Keanu Reeves, Laurence Fishburne, Carrie-Anne Moss, Hugo Weaving, and Joe Pantoliano. It depicts a dystopian future in which reality is perceived by most humans is actually a simulated reality called The Matrix, created by sentient machines to subdue the human population, while their bodies' heat and electrical activity are used as an energy source. Cybercriminal and computer programmer Neo learns this truth and is drawn into a rebellion against the machines, which involves other people who have been freed from the dream world. The Matrix is known for popularizing a visual effect known as bullet time, in which the heightened perception of certain characters is represented by allowing the action within a shot to progress in slow motion while the camera's viewpoint appears to move through the scene at normal speed. The film is an example of the cyberpunk subgenre. It contains numerous references to philosophical and religious ideas, and pays homage to texts such as Plato's allegory of the cave, Jean Baudrillard's Simulacra and Simulation, and Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. The Wachowskis' approach to action scenes drew upon their admiration for Japanese animation and martial arts films, and the film's use of fight choreographers and wire-fu techniques from Hong Kong action cinema influenced subsequent Hollywood action film productions. The Matrix was first released in the United States on March 31, 1999, and grossed over $460 million worldwide. It was well received by critics and won 4 Academy Awards, as well as other accolades, including BAFTA Awards and Saturn Awards. Reviewers praised The Matrix for its innovative visual effects, cinematography and entertainment value. The film has since appeared in lists of the greatest science fiction films, and, in 2012, was added to the National Film Registry for preservation. The success of the film led to the release of 2 feature film sequels, both written and directed by the Wachowskis, The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions. The Matrix franchise was further expanded through the production of comic books, video games and animated short films, in which the Wachowskis were heavily involved, and even inspired books and theories on ideas in religion and philosophy. Plot: a woman is cornered by police in an abandoned hotel. After overpowering them with superhuman abilities, a group of sinister superhuman grey-green suited agents leads the police in a rooftop pursuit. She answers a ringing public telephone and vanishes. Computer programmer Thomas Anderson, living a double life as the hacker, Neo, feels something is wrong with the world, and is puzzled by repeated online encounters with the cryptic phrase, The Matrix. The woman, Trinity, contacts him, saying that a man named Morpheus can explain its meaning. However, the agents, led by Agent Smith, apprehend Neo and attempt to threaten him into helping them capture the terrorist, Morpheus. Undeterred, Neo meets Morpheus, who offers him a choice between a red pill that will show him the truth about the Matrix and a blue pill that will return him to his former life. After swallowing the red pill, his reality disintegrates and Neo awakens, naked, weak and hairless, in a liquid-filled pod. Among countless others connected by cables to an elaborate electrical system, he is rescued and brought aboard Morpheus' hovercraft, the Nebuchadnezzar. As Neo recuperates, Morpheus explains the truth. In the 21st century, intelligent machines waged war against their human creators. When humans blocked the machines' access to solar energy, the machines retaliated by harvesting the humans' bioelectric power. The Matrix is a shared simulation of the world, in which the minds of the harvested humans are trapped and pacified. All free humans live in Zion, the last refuge in the real world. Morpheus and his crew are a group of rebels who hack into the Matrix to unplug enslaved humans and recruit them. Their understanding of the simulated reality enables them to bend its physical laws, granting them superhuman abilities. Morpheus warns Neo that death within the Matrix also kills the physical body, and that the agents are powerful sentient programs that eliminate threats to the system. Neo's prowess during virtual combat training lends credence to Morpheus' belief that Neo is the One, an especially powerful human prophesied to free humans and end the war. The group enters the Matrix to visit the Oracle, a prophet who predicted the emergence of the One. She implies that Neo is not the One and warns Neo that he will have to choose between Morpheus' life and his own before they can leave the Matrix. The group is ambushed by agents and tactical police alerted by Cypher, a disgruntled crew member who betrayed Morpheus to Smith in exchange for a comfortable life back in the Matrix. Morpheus allows himself to be captured so Neo and the rest of the crew can escape. Cypher exits the Matrix and murders several crew members as they lie defenseless in the real world, as he prepares to disconnect Neo. And Trinity, Tank, a crewman whom he had left for dead, kills him. In the Matrix, the agents interrogate Morpheus to learn his access codes to the mainframe computer in Zion. Tank proposes killing Morpheus to prevent this, but Neo, believing that he is not the One, decides himself worth sacrificing if need be to rescue Morpheus. Trinity insists she accompany him, while rescuing Morpheus. Neo gains confidence in his abilities, performing feats comparable to the agents. Morpheus and Trinity exit the Matrix, but Smith ambushes and kills Neo before he can leave. In the real world, machines called Sentinels attack the Nebuchadnezzar. Trinity whispers to Neo that he can't be dead, because she loves him and the Oracle told her that she would fall in love with the One. She kisses Neo, and he revives with the power to perceive and control the Matrix. He effortlessly defeats Smith and leaves the Matrix just as the ship's electromagnetic pulse weapon disables the attacking Sentinels. Later, Neo makes a telephone call inside the Matrix, promising the machines that he will show their prisoners a world where anything is possible. He hangs up and flies into the sky. Cast: A computer programmer in Metacortex Corporation who moonlights as a hacker. Reeves described his character as someone who felt that something was wrong, and was searching for Morpheus and the truth to break free. Will Smith turned down the role of Neo to make Wild Wild West, because of skepticism over the film's ambitious bullet time special effects. He later stated he was not mature enough as an actor at that time, and that if given the role, he would have messed it up. Nicolas Cage also turned down the part because of family obligations. Warner Brothers sought Brad Pitt or Val Kilmer for the role. When both declined, the studio pushed for Reeves, who won the role over Johnny Depp, the Wachowskis' first choice, a human freed from the Matrix, captain of the Nebuchadnezzar. Fishburne stated that once he read the script, he did not understand why other people found it confusing. However, he had a doubt if the movie would ever be made, because it was so smart. The Wachowskis instructed Fishburne to base his performance on the character Morpheus in Neil Gaiman's Sandman comics. Gary Oldman, Samuel L. Jackson, and Chow Yun-fat were also considered for the part. Despite widespread rumors, Sean Connery was offered the role of the architect in the sequels, not that of Morpheus. Freed by Morpheus, crew member of the Nebuchadnezzar, Neo's romantic interest. After reading the script, Moss stated that at first, she did not believe she had to do the extreme acrobatic actions as described in the script. She also doubted how the Wachowskis would get to direct a movie with a budget so large. But after spending an hour with them going through the storyboard, she understood why some people would trust them. Moss mentioned that she underwent a 3-hour physical test during casting, so she knew what to expect subsequently. The role made Moss, who later said that, "I had no career before. None." Janet Jackson was initially approached for the role, but scheduling conflicts prevented her from accepting it. In an interview, she stated that turning down the role was difficult for her, so she later referenced The Matrix in the intro and outro interludes on her 10th studio album Discipline, a sentient agent program of the Matrix whose purpose is to destroy Zion and stop humans from getting out of the Matrix. Unlike other agents, he has ambitions to free himself from his duties. Weaving stated that the character was enjoyable to play, because it amused him. He developed a neutral accent, but with more specific character for the role. He wanted Smith to sound neither robotic nor human, and also said that the Wachowskis' deep voices had influenced his voice in the film. When filming began, Weaving mentioned that he was excited to be a part of something that would extend him. Jean Reno was offered the role, but declined, unwilling to move to Australia for the production, another human freed by Morpheus, but one who regrets taking the red pill and seeks to be returned to the Matrix. Pantoliano had worked with the Wachowskis prior to appearing in The Matrix, starring in their 1996 film Bound. A prophet who still resides in the Matrix, helping the freed humans with her foresight and wisdom and to figure out who is the one, the operator of the Nebuchadnezzar, a natural human who was born outside of the Matrix, one of two sentient agent programs in the Matrix who work with Agent Smith to destroy Zion and stop humans escaping the system. Second sentient agent program working with Agent Smith, a freed human and crew member on the Nebuchadnezzar, a human freed by Morpheus, and crew member of the Nebuchadnezzar, the pilot of the Nebuchadnezzar. He is Tank's brother, and like him was born outside the Matrix, a freed human and programmer on the Nebuchadnezzar, a reference to the White Rabbit in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Development. In 1994, the Wachowskis presented the script for the film Assassins to Warner Bros. Pictures. After Lorenzo di Bonaventura, the president of production of the company at the time, read the script, he decided to buy rights to it and included two more pictures, Bound and The Matrix, in the contract. The first movie the Wachowskis directed, Bound, then became a critical success. Using this momentum, the siblings later asked to direct The Matrix. Producer Joel Silver soon joined the project. Although the project had key supporters like Silver and Di Bonaventura to influence the company, The Matrix was still a huge investment for Warner Bros., which had to invest $60 million to create a movie with deep philosophical ideas and difficult special effects. The Wachowskis therefore hired underground comic book artists Jeffrey Darrow and Steve Scrosey to draw a 600-page, shot-by-shot storyboard for the entire film. The storyboard eventually earned the studio's approval, and it was decided to film in Australia to make the most of the budget. Soon, The Matrix became a co-production of Warner Bros. And the Australian company Village Roadshow Pictures. Pre-production. The actors of the film were required to be able to understand and explain The Matrix. Simulacra and simulation was required reading for most of the principal cast and crew. Reeves stated that the Wachowskis had him read Simulacra and Simulation, Out of Control, and Dylan Evans is introducing evolutionary psychology even before they opened up the script. And eventually he was able to explain all the philosophical nuances involved. Moss commented that she had difficulty with this process. The directors had also been admirers of Hong Kong action cinema for a long time, so they decided to hire the Chinese martial arts choreographer and film director Yuen Wu-ping to work on fight scenes. To prepare for the Wire Fu, the actors had to train hard for several months. The Wachowskis first scheduled 4 months for training. Yuen was optimistic, but then began to worry when he realized how unfit the actors were. Yuen let their body style develop and then worked with each actor's strength. He built on Reeves' diligence, Fishburne's resilience, Weaving's precision, and Moss' feminine grace. Yuen designed Moss moves to suit her deftness and lightness. Prior to the pre-production, Reeves suffered a 2-level fusion of his cervical spine which had begun to cause paralysis in his legs, requiring him to undergo neck surgery. He was still recovering by the time of pre-production, but he insisted on training, so Yuen let him practice punches and lighter moves. Reeves trained hard and even requested training on days off. However, the surgery still made him unable to kick for 2 out of 4 months of training. As a result, Reeves did not kick much in the film. Weaving had to undergo hip surgery after he sustained an injury during the training process. Production design. In the film, the code that composes the Matrix itself is frequently represented as downward-flowing green characters. This code uses a custom typeface designed by Simon Whiteley. which includes mirror images of half-width Kana characters and Western Latin letters and numerals. The color green reflects the green tint commonly used on early monochrome computer monitors. Lynn Cartwright, the visual effects supervisor at Animal Logic, supervised the creation of the film's opening title sequence, as well as the general look of the Matrix code throughout the film, in collaboration with Lindsay Flee and Justin Marshall. The portrayal resembles the opening credits of the 1995 Japanese cyberpunk film, Ghost in the Shell, which had a strong influence on the Matrix series. It was also used in the subsequent films. On the related website, and in the game The Matrix, Path of Neo, and its drop-down effect is reflected in the design of some posters for the Matrix series. The code received the runner-up award in the 1999 Jesse Garson Award for in-film typography or opening credit sequence. The Matrix's production designer, Owen Patterson, used methods to distinguish the real world and the Matrix in a pervasive way. The production design team generally placed a bias towards the Matrix code's distinctive green color in scenes set within the simulation, whereas there is an emphasis on the color blue during scenes set in the real world. In addition, the Matrix scene sets were slightly more decayed, monolithic, and grid-like, to convey the cold, logical, and artificial nature of that environment. For the real world, the actors' hair was less styled, their clothing had more textile content, and the cinematographers used longer lenses to soften the backgrounds and emphasize the actors. The Nebuchadnezzar was designed to have a patched-up look, instead of clean, cold and sterile spaceship interior sets as used on films like Star Trek. The wires were made visible to show the ship's working internals, and each composition was carefully designed to convey the ship as a marriage between man and machine. For the scene when Neo wakes up in the pod connected to the Matrix, the pod was constructed to look dirty, used, and sinister. During the testing of a breathing mechanism in the pod, the tester suffered hypothermia in under 8 minutes, so the pod had to be heated. Kim Barrett, costume designer, said that she defined the characters and their environment by their costume. For example, Reeves' office costume was designed for Thomas Anderson to look uncomfortable, disheveled, and out of place. Barrett sometimes used 3 types of fabric for each costume, and also had to consider the practicality of the acting. The actors needed to perform martial art actions in their costume, hang upside down without people seeing up their clothing, and be able to work the wires while strapped into the harnesses. For Trinity, Barrett experimented with how each fabric absorbed and reflected different types of light, and was eventually able to make Trinity's costume mercury-like an oil slick to suit the character. For the agents, their costume was designed to create a Secret Service, undercover look, resembling the film JFK. The sunglasses, a staple to the film's aesthetics, were commissioned for the film by designer Richard Walker from sunglass maker Blinda Design. Filming. All but a few scenes were filmed at Fox Studios in Sydney, and in the city itself, although recognizable landmarks were not included in order to maintain the impression of a generic American city. The filming helped establish New South Wales as a major film production centre. Filming commenced in March 1998 and wrapped in August 1998. Principal photography took 118 days, due to Reeves' neck injury. Some of the action scenes had to be rescheduled to wait for his full recovery. As a result, the filming began with scenes that did not require much physical exertion, such as the scene in Thomas Anderson's office, the interrogation room, or the car ride in which Neo is taken to see the Oracle. Locations for these scenes included Martin Place's fountain in Sydney, halfway between it and the adjacent Colonial Building, and the Colonial Building itself. During the scene set on a government building rooftop, the team filmed extra footage of Neo dodging bullets in case the bullet time process did not work. The bullet time fight scene was filmed on the roof of Symantec Corporation building in Kent Street, opposite of Sussex Street. Moss performed the shots featuring Trinity at the beginning of the film, and all the wire stunts herself. The rooftop set that Trinity uses to escape from Agent Brown early in the film was left over from the production of Dark City. which has prompted comments due to the thematic similarities of the films. During the rehearsal of the lobby scene, in which Trinity runs on a wall, Moss injured her leg and was ultimately unable to film the shot in one take. She stated that she was under a lot of pressure at the time and was devastated when she realized that she would be unable to do it. The dojo set was built well before the actual filming. During the filming of these action sequences, there was significant physical contact between the actors, earning them bruises. Because of Reeves' injury and his insufficient training with wires prior to the filming, he was unable to perform the triple kicks satisfactorily and became frustrated with himself, causing the scene to be postponed. The scene was shot successfully a few days later, with Reeves using only 3 takes. Ewan altered the choreography and made the actors pull their punches in the last sequence of the scene, creating a training feel. The filmmakers originally planned to shoot the subway scene in an actual subway station, but the complexity of the fight and related wire work required shooting the scene on a set. The set was built around an existing train storage facility, which had real train tracks. Filming the scene when Neo slammed Smith into the ceiling, Chad Stahelski, Reeves' stunt double, sustained several injuries, including broken ribs, knees, and a dislocated shoulder. Another stuntman was injured by a hydraulic puller during a shot where Neo was slammed into a booth. The office building in which Smith interrogated Morpheus was a large set, and the outside view from inside the building was a large, 3-story high cyclorama. The helicopter was a full-scale lightweight mock-up suspended by a wire rope operated a tilting mechanism mounted to the studio roof beams. The helicopter had side-mounted to it a real minigun, which was set to cycle at half-normal full-firing rate. The visual effect of the helicopter's rotating blades was effected by using strobe lighting, to prepare for the scene in which Neo wakes up in a pod. Reeves lost 15 pounds and shaved his whole body to give Neo an emaciated look. The scene in which Neo fell into the sewer system concluded the principal photography. According to The Art of the Matrix, at least one filmed scene and a variety of short pieces of action were omitted from the final cut of the film. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?